Okay, this little critter baby is a male Hispid pocket mouse, and his eyes are open, but he's a little fuzzy mouse. And I just found him about half an hour ago in my yard. He'd been crying most of the morning, and around the perimeter of my yard I know that I have at least two mother pocket mice that are living there in the taller grass on the outside edges of the fence, and they make little foraging trails through the yard where they've been coming up and taking the bird seed that the birds are dropping from the feeders, and then I'm also putting out, pecan pieces and little pieces of fruit and whatnot to help them out because of this drought, and they're having trouble finding food and water. And this little guy was crying most of the morning, and like any other baby mammal or bird, when they're hungry they cry for mama, and they normally they cease crying when mama comes back and feeds them, and their belly's full for a while, and then the mama will go back out and forage for herself, and so she comes back to the nest and feeds them in intervals throughout the day. But this little guy just was crying most of the morning, and they have a very loud cry for, as small as they are. This little fella's only a few centimeters long. Here's you can see, here's my hand here. It's a little bitty baby, and so you can hear him quite a ways off. He was about 50 feet away or so, and you could hear him clear as a bell, so I had to start looking through the tall grass and trying to find him, and as small as they are, that can be quite an effort. So really the only way you locate them, something this small in the grass, is if they continue to cry, which thankfully this little boy did. I just sat and waited for him to, he would cry every couple of minutes, and I continued to narrow down where he was at. There you go, and he cries there. And outside there, when the wind is down and you don't have a lot of other sound going on, that carries quite a ways. And the way that I end up finding these guys is there's a technique that we were taught in the Army when you're tracking and you're trying to get a directional effect on where a sound is coming from, where you're hearing a sound, and you place the palm of your hand behind your ear, kind of cup it behind your ear, and that kind of creates a directional effect. And as you rotate your head around, wherever the source of that noise is coming from, the direction it's arriving at your ear, it makes quite a difference. You can tell with a pretty good certainty exactly where that noise is coming from, because when you rotate your head off that axis, you definitely notice the reduction in the noise level. So I've been pretty successful using that technique at finding these little babies that are crying out in the heavy brush. And my fear is that something has happened to his mama since he's been crying. I've been hearing him since about 9 or 10 a.m. and it's about 2 now. And a lot of times I'll actually see the mother out during the day foraging around here, and I don't see any evidence that she's still around. And unfortunately, we've had a lot of coyote activity really close to my house here. I'm finding coyote scat just 50 yards away on one of the trails that leads to the pond behind my house. And they're even feeling confident enough to take a dump in my driveway. I'm finding coyote scat in the driveway, and a few weeks ago I observed one right outside my fence, which was about less than 20 feet away from the exterior wall of my house. I was sitting right there looking at him through the window. So with this drought, everything's coming out and getting closer to civilization, looking for food, and that means the coyotes too. And I did have quite a diversity of wildlife living on my property. There was a young male possum living in the backyard. I haven't seen him for about a week. And there was a mother skunk who had a den in the front yard, and I haven't seen her in about a week as well. And her den appears to be abandoned. And I took a little mirror and flashlight and shone down in it, and to make sure there was no babies left there, and placed some hay over the the entrance so I would know whether she was coming and going. And just eventually one morning I went out there, and it appeared she had just not made it back home after her night out foraging. And it's gotten to the point where the coyotes are getting so bad in close proximity to the house here that I've started leaving all the exterior lights on, and even leaving a radio outside on the porch turned up full volume just to keep them away, because at first it was kind of cool, get some photographs or video the coyote in the yard in broad daylight, but at night they're creeping up pretty close too, and it's not cute anymore. So unfortunately, his mother may have fallen victim to coyote, and you can see here his skin tints like that when I go to try to pick him up. So he's dehydrated. He hasn't been fed in a while, so I'm getting ready to feed him here in just a second. I got some milk replacer formula warming up over a warm water bath right now, and we'll have to syringe feed him and raise him just like I've done the other baby mice. And I'd rather stick to reptiles. I've had success raising baby mice and squirrels, but they're a lot of work. They got to be fed fairly often, every hour, every 2 hours, and so that makes it to where whenever I need to go somewhere, run errands or something, a lot of times I end up having to take these little guys with me. I'll put them in a little critter keeper or a bin or something like that, and I got to take them on the road with me with the syringes and the formula and everything else, and find a gas station sometimes, get some hot water out of their coffee maker, and mix up some formula for the baby in the parking lot. I've had to do that many times. And so you take him out and weigh him real quick. But this is the quietest he's been all morning. He just cried and cried and cried until I found him. And then once I found him and put him in here on the paper towels, he quieted down and actually went to sleep for a while, and so I didn't want to disturb him. He was just sleeping soundly. Alright, he weighs 6 grams. And I normally don't keep milk replacer on hand because I will save and rehabilitate and raise the little baby rodents, little mammals, squirrels, little orphan mice like this. But I don't keep big stocks of S-Black and everything around, big 50-pound or 20-pound buckets of it like a lot of mammal rehabbers do. I just buy that stuff as needed, and because a lot of times like this, I'm raising one little tiny baby, and so I buy in the smallest quantity I can, which makes it, it's more expensive per volume like that, so I'll end up having to buy like a $20 jar of Esbilac, a $20 can of Esbilac to raise this baby. So what we do is we'll just warm this up over a little water bath, and just feed him here with a syringe. And not surprisingly, a lot of times it takes them a little while to warm up to this milk replacer. It's not mother's milk, so they don't often really take to it the first feeding or so. They may just marginally partake of it. You gotta kind of just give them a taste for it, and then after 2 or 3 feedings, they'll start to take a little more from you. But they gotta be kind of moved over, and this is a very thin, very dilute. Here you want to make it real thin and dilute when you're moving them over to this formula here from mother's milk, and because he's dehydrated. So a lot of people will start out with give some water, or Pedialyte is a good one. Pedialyte, or if you don't have that, Gatorade. I like to, if you're going to use Gatorade, I like to dilute that like 50-50 with water. But Pedialyte's a good one to use, and you just pretty much, the idea is to get them rehydrated initially and keep them warm more than anything. So this is actually probably about well, this is mostly water and lactated ringers here that I used, and you can use lactated ringers orally too. So a lot of times if I don't have Pedialyte, I'll just use the lactated ringers orally. So give it another little shot here. There we go. Oh, he's taking a little. Not real thrilled about it though. And that stuff cools off pretty quickly in the syringe anyway, so I'll have to rewarm it a little bit. I'll try to give him a little more here in a second, but one more little baby pocket mouse to raise. And the last one I raised, he is actually serving as a educational ambassador at Riverbend Nature Center. He's got a nice little house there, and Heidi logs and some natural substrate, and he's got a little wheel in there, which he never had when he was here, and I wasn't for sure if he would take to that, but that's cute. He just scratched. But apparently my pocket mouse, he likes his little exercise wheel too, and that's good too, because these pocket mice, if you've never seen the adults, they can get pretty big. They'll put weight on, and in captivity he was kind of a glutton, so you got to watch what you feed him. But we'll just raise this little fella up the same way as we did the others. Okay, so now I found a better implement here, a little syringe tip. That's better. very tiny bit at a time. And don't want them to aspirate on it, so in very small amounts. Okay. He's gonna need quite a bit more. So, come on, isn't that precious? I'll just let him go back to sleep again for a while, and it just takes a while with baby mammals. Like baby birds, they're a lot of work. Just got to keep after it and keep after it. You know, come back at him in another 20 or 30 minutes, try to feed him some more.